I understand that.
Everybody, has their talents.
Why?
It's important to go.
I'm here.
I haven't seen you forever.
It does feel like it's been a minute. I've been too long painting. And then
Yeah.
neglected everything else.
Love those pictures.
The
Kids with bus.
oh,
She put out new
it
ones.
helps when you're friends.
Oh.
I was gonna try to use the
No,
yes.
but that's
Kids
fine.
that
Okay.
about it.
Uh,
Here.
Yeah.
That was my next comment. How's the rain? You got a bus we can borrow?
Trying to get us take it to Kansas City to the Renaissance. So I'm like, no, right on that list that one.
All right, Stephanie, now my hand's all cramped up.
I know. There's a lot. There's always a lot when we have like, the 2 weeks in between. Is that?
No, it's good. I just can't believe our valuation would increase that. I mean, much. The
like
valuation
the town or
increase
the, which valuation?
on the mill levy, the R&R rate.
Yeah, that lot. Human growth, hopefully it continues. We have 3 new neighbors this past couple of weeks. Oh, surrounding area.
Stephanie did it?
Yeah, no. Well, that would be something. All right.
Can I end this conversation please, before we get finished?
This totally went worse than.
Wait.
Pledge allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's the goal. All right, today is September 13th. We have a budget hearing. So first we'll call to order roll call. Tim,
Yes.
Annie,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
All right. And so 2022 budget hearing. Would you like to proceed with that or?
No, we just open it and if anybody has any questions.
Yeah.
Yes, the 2022 budget is now open for hearing. If anybody in the public would like to address the council about the budget.
Should we do they ask? You have extra copy?
Can I move to close the hearing?
Yes.
I'll move to close the hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
And then you've got to open now the R&R hearing, the revenue neutral rate hearing. That's open. If anybody in the public has a comment or concern to address the council regarding the revenue neutral rate.
Does anybody understand what that is?
Well, this is not a test.
No.
We discussed it
Yeah.
before. I don't know what the numbers are. Like I said, I don't take that paper, so I don't know if you put a number in those slots, but I knew what it was. We just had it out.
Did you have any comments on that, sir?
No,
For yourself?
actually, the amount proposed in the budget does not exceed the revenue neutral rate, but because of the way that the law is drafted as a protective measure, everybody is having a hearing and saying that they may exceed it because evaluation could change that revenue neutral rate. So much more complicated than it needs to be, but that's the Kansas legislature for you. So
I'll move to end.
I'll second.
All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Then we are looking at the agenda. Does anybody want to add anything?
I'll move to adopt.
I've got a few things I'm gonna throw in down here at the bottom, but most of them are just quick informative things.
Well, likewise with me, but mine is mainly just to talk about the Main Street ordinance and to see if we shall proceed. So I'll talk about that at the end of the meeting.
Yes, so those are mayor concerns,
Yeah.
council concerns.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I had another, probably an executive session request, attorney-client privilege after ARPA. There was a question asked last time that I wanted to answer.
How long?
10 minutes maybe?
Move to adopt the agenda with a 10-minute executive attorney-client privilege meeting following the other and continuing council business.
Second.
All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Any changes to the last minutes?
I'll
Move
move
to
to
approve.
Second.
A motion to approve the minutes, all in favor?
I'll move to approve appropriation ordinance 1490.
Second.
All right, Tim,
Yes.
Annie,
Yes.
Brett,
Yep.
and Brett.
Yes.
Public concerns or comments? Yes, sir.
Dave Frederick, resident, New Hampshire. I had a resident ask, and maybe this is the wrong time. They have a metal boat lift that's sitting in the water, and they're changing types of boats. Do they need to talk to you about different, like cleats or anything like that, or is that a
Is it gonna occupy the same space where it's at now?
yes?
Ex-
Like a
That's,
smaller boat.
okay,
And they
that's
pay
important.
currently?
Currently, I think the status is they simply alert us, do the, what's it called? The permit, but there's no fee involved. Just simply so that we know if somebody sees work out there, we can say, yeah, we know about it.
Something like a board for board.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's
It's just
what,
just
Just
the little wooden cleats that are covered in carpet. So yes.
yeah, that's okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Mr. Bone,
Yeah. A lot of what I have to talk to, I'm guessing, is under the ARPA. Todd, you're going to talk about kind of what you sent out
Okay.
on that too. And I have some ideas on that as well, but maybe we should talk about the opinion on legalities of what we can ask for on that. Water plant. We've had a few weird things going on, electrical issues. A couple of motors we've had to replace. We had to have a high service motor rewound. Lead time on a new motor was no clue. Peak electric motor, rewound the motor. It worked for a couple days on the drive. Then started throwing a motor short circuit code again on the VFD. Can't remember when this happened for sure, if I updated you at the last meeting I was at or not. I did. Okay, it's back in. Did it. Expect the drive was bad. Darren Alexander found the drive. They're hard to get to right now. Supply issues for that horsepower drive. It's an HVAC drive. It's throwing him some weird stuff. The motor's not responding right. So he's double checking on if there's a setting that he has to change. It's rated for the same horsepower, but it's designed for HVAC use, not just a direct pump motor use. If there's something to change, or if the drive's not compatible, or number three, if there might be something wrong with the winding of the motor. He's tested the winding, everything seems to be good. If not, it's going back to the peak electric motor. We do have contingency plans in place if our second redundant motor were to fail. We've still got ways to pump water, no issues there. Kramer's on the sewer project, they've had a little bit of trouble. Had a few employees come and go. They're getting back on the surveying. They put in some more locates for me to locate gas and water so they can go around GPS, all that stuff. Keep moving forward with that. I did have a discussion with a grant writer the other day that was around town. Not going to go into much detail on that, but has a lot of knowledge of the history of our opposite of success with CDBG, other things that have gone on, things like that. A long talk with him. Something to entertain in the future. Going to talk to him some more. I think he wants to present to you guys and talk about some stuff. We talked about CDBG. We talked about LMI surveys. I'm not sure when this whole engineering for the sewer is going to come full circle. I have a feeling we're going to end up being at the end of our USDA allotment as far as our guarantee on what we were guaranteed for grant money and possibly more, and maybe have to go back to the board, which is fine, and maybe think about CDBG again with a new company. But just keep that in mind if it gets brought up, and keep an open mind, please. I'm definitely working through that, and I think we might have something good going with this company. Gas, we had some cathodic protection, which is corrosion control issues down on the South Steel feeder line. Still think that we depleted an anode bed on our South rectifier. We bonded up a tall grass pipeline is where it got. That helped us out for a while. We went down and installed just some anodes on the north end of the South line and unbonded with tall grass. Had good readings, talked to them. They're still going to come up and help us out as far as their CP techs and everything. So we're not having to hire a contractor to do that. Thought that it would take a couple weeks for everything to depolarize, and he thought we'd still be low. I went down last week and checked. We've got good protection on everything, even with just the anodes we installed. So still waiting on him to have him check it out, but it looks good there. So, I mean, my goal is to not have to rebuild, a $20,000 rectifier anode bed for something that hopefully we would be replacing in the foreseeable future. I mean, you can get by with anodes or something like that. We can put a lot of 17-pound anodes on a steel line and get by and keep our line protected and in good shape, which it always has been. It's in very good shape. A lot of it's above ground. That's the issue with that down there, that we really need to do replacement at some point. But other than that, that's the main utility things that are going on, being monitored. So, question.
I work with a guy that he's on number 8, and he said somebody his water goes all the way to Willard before it comes back to him. He's out there off Carlson
Over
Road.
by Dover, it gets really weird between 1 and 8.
He tells me his water always smells like fish. Why would it smell like fish out there when it doesn't here?
And he is on 8, not 1, because they do a lot of
He said
weird
8.
swip swapping out there, and it does go to almost to Willard. I would say they have chlorine issues, possibly.
I wondered if it was something just because of the long travel and
And that can be the thing. He might not have non-compliant chlorine, but when the chlorine is working harder, like if there's biofilm in the line, stuff like that, once it gets to that point and the chlorine has to work harder, you actually get taste and smell. If the chlorine doesn't have to work, you can have higher chlorine that's not working as hard and never know. You can have lower chlorine that has to work harder, and the byproducts is what gives you taste and smell. So.
Tell him it's because it's so far away.
I'm just saying, no, just for the public and everybody else. It doesn't always mean. I'm not saying that 8's non-compliant. I would never say that because I don't know unless I go test it myself.
Well, my assumption was
Yeah.
because, and so was his,
Yeah.
that it's because he's so far away.
Yeah.
I just,
And 8's actually been working on some of that. Their board has come to the table to try to do some different, maybe rechlorination, add ammonia, which to double the combined chlorine, stuff like that. Some different pumping stations, valve stations to reroute their water, which they haven't done in a while. But hopefully they get some of that done.
well, he wanted me to bounce it off of you, and he told me it's more noticeable in his ice. I think everybody knows your ice is always more noticeable.
You're right.
With any kind of, so. He wasn't all huffy. He just wanted me to ask you. So I can tell him I did.
So he likes fish.
It's a long way to go.
He likes fast harvests.
Learn how to batter ice and fry it.
Yeah. And then,
Okay.
Okay,
I'm good until we get to
okay.
ARP.
Ms. Stephanie?
A few things. You guys have a financial sheet, so everything is looking pretty good. We got the park all settled and payments on that and the general fund. And then a couple things here. I did talk to Jana Williams about that, what is it, Brownfield grant. And Dolly had said the last time that you guys maybe wanted to talk about a work session with them. She said she wants to hold off at this point because so much new information is coming out constantly. She doesn't quite know what all is going on with everything yet. So she does want to come present to you guys. They haven't forgotten about anything, but they just want to wait until they have all the information. So she doesn't have to make multiple trips. So FYI on that, that's why no work session has been set up yet. And then one other thing, I talked to Diane. She actually brought it up. You guys have a quote if you want to add the bandstands to the insurance policy. Since we did all that work on it, it might not be a bad thing to entertain that. So everybody has a quote on that. And that would be your annual premium. As you see there, it's prorated. So like right now, you know, it would be, I think she said maybe an additional $150 if you wanted to set something up right now.
So it's just $268.
At renewal, yeah. And then
We're not
prorate.
insured before.
Yeah.
Not for the bandstand.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think so.
The park's not insured?
Liability.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Like
probably
structure.
right.
But not the structure.
Probably not
Not the
structure.
structure and stuff.
Before it might not have been insurable
Probably
as
not.
far as condition and what the premium would be.
True.
It's kind of like when you look at structure and roofs and windows and everything in the house, so they have to do exclusions on all of that, so I doubt it was. But now that it's this,
Yeah.
Is that high enough? I know that's a.
that's about all they'll do.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know.
They
And I
will,
mean, 68.
I know that's a rebuild kind of scenario. Or
yeah,
another repair,
but
maybe. I don't know.
we talked about that as far as rebuilding it again, as far as, you know, historical specs, and that's about as high as dollar amount as they will go on that period, no
Okay,
matter
yeah.
what. So,
Okay. Well, do we need to move to adopt or anything? Or I mean, I would like
Yes.
it to be insured if it,
Yes.
I'll move.
we did all this. A second.
Okay. Motion to approve. Okay. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Let her know. That's all I have.
I don't really have anything on park except for to extend an invitation to everybody for the Aspen Fall Festival.
Oh,
Everybody. So, city council members, I guess we would like you, if you're sort of willing,
sort of.
to participate in a pie in the face competition.
That's not happening.
It's not?
Sorry, no.
It's better than a dunk tank. It would not really be pie, obviously. It's more
No,
like
it's whipped cream.
just whipped cream. Yeah.
All right, $10 a throw. And I'll do it.
So.
That's it.
Seems like it.
$10 a throw. That's it.
I'm down with
Okay.
it.
There might be some people that would pay $10.
It's not
to
made
buy it.
It's
volunteer.
October 30th.
Okay.
And we're
I'll
trying to still
volunteer
kind of
to
nail
it.
our timeline
Yeah.
down, so I'll give you an exact time. And I don't know how long. Do you think? I mean, 10 minutes a person, or
Oh, yeah.
okay.
That's-
So it won't actually be like a huge. I know that's.
Maybe 10 minutes a person or one hit only.
Maybe have some gaps and some live music that we need some contests for.
Yeah.
So.
So you get to suffer. I get to suffer also. So.
As long as you're doing it too, Addie.
I am.
Yeah.
It's the end of my day, so it better be at the end of the day. I got other stuff going on.
A list of people that throw pies in my face after.
I would do that for you, Brad.
You have to sign a waiver.
We'll make a list.
We're just gonna put a bag over so you can't tell who they are. You can't get revenge involved. I don't think there's any.
Yeah,
stuff
people
you-
might not.
Now,
Do it.
how
I
close
don't
do
think
they
there's
get to
any-
stand?
Well, I mean,
I don't
it'll be
think
a
so.
throw. I don't know.
No.
I can. Oh, yeah. We need a CMP.
Oh.
Yeah.
You
We
should
need
probably
a
have somebody throw some pies first to see how accurate you are at what distance. Make sure
That's
that
true.
they
That
can,
is
Test it
true.
out.
you don't
Yeah.
want them so far
Yeah.
back they can't even hit the board.
That's true. That's true.
Of course, the little kids can come up
Okay.
closer.
Put that on the next.
Yeah.
I'm okay with
Really?
Since you're so tall, you'll have to kind of lean
I'll
down.
pay a kid to do it.
Does Todd get to do this too?
I know Todd. He probably tried to bill us though. So
Yeah, so you can't afford it. You can't afford it.
It wouldn't be
Be a
really-
losing proposition.
I mean, you can just.
I feel no volunteerism there.
So I print out a picture and people still want to do it.
Just say this is the lawyer.
Yeah, dart throw.
City lawyer.
Yeah. Get some lawn darts. Get some
Lawn darts.
Yes, picture on a tree. I think one of our yard games. Do we need to
Okay.
ask for the CMB
No,
or do you need to do that
we'll
next?
do that
Yes,
next, yeah, we'll put it on the agenda.
Okay, as far as
You might want details on that.
park goes, that's all I've got for you. Realized I hadn't asked you yet, so.
Did
I'm
you-
not,
I-
this
I
is
never-
a park, but the little park down here, which is now park. The sign got moved from in front of the firehouse and it's down there now where it's supposed to be. I called the state and asked them to move the kiosk signs. As of right now, I've been told they're not moving them. So it's been referred to Mr. Romine, Sage, and he said that they would call me and they would get them moved. Basically, it's their signs and they will move them, but talking locally, I got zero help on getting them moved. I was told no. My understanding is they're supposed to be on a 4x4 post, but they didn't put posts up town Eskridge, so they just put them on the poles that you see them on. So I don't know if they don't want to buy a 4x4 or they don't want to put them on a different pole. I don't know, but at least that's out of the way of the firehouse, so they can know. And I really appreciate it. You guys have been down there for me, so. And the church is officially closed and gone and not ours. And I hope everybody got what they wanted. And we got flower pots down there from the church too, so we can plant flowers in them. So we'll do a little bit of something. I just forgot to say that earlier, but when she said park, I thought park. So thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. Okay, Sally?
It's been kind of quiet. More letters about some more yards. I've been watching a couple of them. They're working on them. I think that's about it. Can't think of anything else.
The one house that we were talking about that was going to be demolished, they are looking at contractors to come in and give them bids to try and decide whether they're going to demolish and rebuild or go bare bones. It depends on what the bones look like in that house. That's what I call it.
Which house?
Two doors.
Two of them. All right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
It was bought at auction.
Yeah, heard that.
And so they've been up and talked to me. I gave them some suggestions on local people because that's how they want to go. And also who demolishes, who they could talk to. And there's several people around that do that. But they can also put out a bid process. It's their place. They legally own it. So once they start gutting it and seeing what's there, there's a lot of vandalism done to it. The new wiring that had been put in it was taken out, stolen, so. But wasn't anybody there to protect it, so. But anyhow, nice people, and they plan on with 4 kids. I like that.
What happened with the other house we've been talking about on 2nd Street? The city owns that now, or
City owns that.
has there been any
Yes.
progress as far as finding a potential new owner for that, or that
Are we
house?
talking about the end of the street? Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I think that I'll probably have to talk to Todd, because, you guys need to know about that. Do you guys want to put it up for sale, or you want to, because the last time that we had a piece of property, it was just given to the people who live close by.
Yeah.
And I know that anybody that takes that property will have to tear that house down, so it already has a bill on it.
Yeah.
And so I'm pretty sure that it will go to the people that will get the most benefit out of it. But I think we can do what we want, can't we?
Yeah, I'd like to offer it to the people adjacent to the property first,
With
and just see if there's
conditional.
any interest.
Upon tearing down the structure.
Yes, and what kind of timeline is that? How soon do they have to have it torn down and cleaned
6
out?
months.
Well, he got that right on the top of his head, doesn't he? I think that's what I was thinking.
It's winter.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just curious if you remember that when she said she'd give it to us, she said she didn't want the neighbors to have it.
I don't think that's binding, but
It's
wasn't
not.
on the deed.
I didn't ask if it was binding.
yeah,
I heard that too.
I think she said she didn't want to sell it to them, but that's a no.
yeah. She's not selling to them. I mean,
She's doing much better.
Well, if we own it.
Okay.
It's
No,
not on
we
the
own it,
tax
it's
roll. If they
okay.
own it, it's on the tax roll, and it's
Yeah.
not eyesore anymore.
So anyway, so
So what about the other property that she had behind there? You guys can put that up for sale or how do we find out about that?
Properties, yeah.
what other property? It all,
We
I
were at
mean,
that one meeting, she owned some other property too.
well, it
She
just
did
goes
that.
all the way.
Same.
It's all one piece.
All the same.
It's a
all the way
large
back. Okay.
Yeah, it's a
lot.
really
Goes
long
all the way
lot,
back.
yeah.
Thank you.
All right, then I think probably. So 6 months, and that's the offer that you want to do. Any,
If they can come back and say July 31st next year or something, I don't care.
I wouldn't be surprised if it would come down pretty fast.
Yeah.
It's gonna be so cold.
So we're gonna advertise it then in the newspaper?
Doesn't sound like it. Do we want to bid, what, do we want to take a motion on that, whether we want to give it to the neighbors or
We're not
sell
giving,
it, sell it to them
we're selling,
on
well,
conditional use, or conditional, what did you say?
you're doing an offer of sale conditional upon removal of the structure within a time period.
It's none of my business, but I'm gonna get my 2 cents in because you said I can come. When the church sold their lots, everybody in town wanted me to just offer it to neighbors. They offered me an amount of money that was embarrassingly, ridiculously low. So I advertised it in the paper. And we told them the minimum of what we would like. The first one came back with not one iota of a bit of a problem and said they'd pay it without a qualm. The other one came back and said they felt that was a little high because it's just Eskridge. That was what I was told. But they really want it bad enough so they would meet that quota. Do you want to sell it or just get by because it's just Eskridge? Or do you want to advertisement and get some people that want it and maybe make some money off of it since you've been handed it free? I don't know,
Well,
it was kind of a slap in the face actually when that person said that to me. I was shocked. And had I not advertised it, we'd have probably just got a few $100 for the lots.
It will cost anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000, I would think, to take that house down, so we weren't giving it away for free.
Well, no, I'm not saying that.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying
How
to
many
get rid of
lots are
something
there?
that has a
It's one lot, it's just really
deck
long.
attached to it.
It's over an acre, but I mean, it's not that wide, but it goes way back there.
All the way back to the abandoned street back there.
And I think we're trying to be concerned about the
Railroad,
fact
yeah.
that if it's sold without any conditions at all, no matter what the amount is, if they don't fix it up or don't do anything with it, then we're right back where we started.
Yeah.
Well, can any sale be conditional?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It's just that, yeah,
I mean,
make that stick.
That's
Yeah, two
the
people
camp
who have
I'm
a
in. Is,
vested interest.
yeah. That's the city not having to spend its general fund tearing down a house. I mean, that's a win-win. They get rid of their eyesore. We get rid of the liability with a future expenditure, I guess I should say. But I don't know. Go ahead and make a motion that we offer it for sale, price of $1 to both the adjacent landowners, and if they want to go halvesies on it too, that's their.
See, I have a
Then
problem splitting it up. Like, I don't mind it going to either or, whoever wants to pay the most to get it, because they both want it, but I don't want to split it up, because then it's a property that's split up that's never going to have anything built on it to have taxes off of it again, because it's just going to be absorbed as yard.
Yeah, it'd probably make a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. Pay $8,000 to bulldoze another house out of city funds. I mean, we can go spend that somewhere else. I mean, that's.
And I don't want to do that either.
What you're talking about is advertising it to sell it as is, but them tearing the
Offering
building
it,
down.
not advertising, but offering it to the neighboring property owners for $1
Well,
to see what comes back.
No, that's not.
Yeah,
But
they're
I
talking
think
about
it's an
offering it broadly.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sale.
I mean, not just neighbors, you would say, anybody can buy it on the condition that they destroy the house, tear down the house and rebuild.
I guess if someone wants to offer more than $1 for that, I want to offer a conditional upon the demolition of the house, as was said earlier. So,
And I don't have
That's
a
my
problem,
motion.
like I said, with either or of the neighbors getting it. I think it'd be great for either one of them. But I'm pretty sure that both of them have already offered more than $1 to try to acquire it before.
I think to split the lot and replat it, though, they'd have to come here. Up to the
Would that be
city.
here or the county?
Well, the
think-
county would map it,
Yeah.
but it's within city limits. So we would have to
Anything
accept the
that's
replat.
vacated or replatted or anything has to go through here.
so we can just come up with a new legal for that, or the west half of
Yeah, somebody would
lot
have,
7 or whatever it happens to be,
you
or,
probably would have to have it surveyed, but yeah, if they,
yeah,
however they divided it, they could do that, they could ask, but you guys could say no,
yeah.
you know. So,
Well, and I would want them to pay for the, whatever legalese needs to be
well,
done
I
to
mean,
make that happen.
I think it's the Brett's point that he doesn't want to lose a property.
Yeah.
That's tax earning.
Yeah, well,
If we,
is it
I just don't think
dilapidated
it's
structure?
advantageous to the city to lose a property forever by doing
It'll
it.
still be tax earning, it just wouldn't have a structure on it, which would be more tax.
Would the adjacent properties rise in value with no longer an eyesore next to them? I mean,
Sitting
that's,
owning it, it's not.
No,
earning
that's
any
true,
tax.
Justin, that would probably happen.
I don't know.
I like the idea of advertising it, and we can do it for the dollar with the contingency of that. And if we advertise it, if either adjacent owner wants it, they have just as much of a chance to get it as anybody. But I do think that we should put it out there in front of everybody. I think the chances of anybody else wanting it are extremely low.
Okay.
But at least this way we'll know that we advertise it to people. It'll stay together in one piece, and we can even put our highest bidder, in case the neighbors want to duke it.
Has the right to reject
Yeah.
any and all bids
All that good
for any
stuff.
reason.
All right. I'll withdraw my motion. I'll just say, let's put it out to the public. I don't see a need to advertise it though and waste the money doing that, but
That's
I don't know.
what
That's,
I was wondering if this is enough.
yeah.
It'll be in our
Word of mouth.
minutes in the paper.
Just
Yeah.
give that a
Yeah.
try. If you don't get any action,
That's an
then
Yeah.
Then go,
So,
go.
At least not
Alright,
make
we
the
should-
motion
Okay.
tonight to,
yeah.
revisit
Narrow
the
it
next
down.
city meeting,
Well,
not the next city meeting, a month from now.
okay. So
One.
that's no motion then. It's just we are taking sealed bids, and that's the,
well, I think if you're
Council
saying
directed,
that
is that
you're
what it
actually
works?
taking bids, you'd have to give bidders a date to submit the bids,
okay.
and that would be just normal form.
to be clear, the contingency is that the property has to be cleared.
Yeah, anybody that calls about it,
Yep.
they'll get that explanation. They have to know there's gonna
Does
be,
it have a basement?
it's gonna have to be surveyed and it's gonna have to be torn down.
I don't know.
Partial.
You?
Like they're all
Partial.
saying.
So, yeah, the rule is that the structure has to be within the ground level,
Yeah.
basements or
An
subgrade.
outdoor cellar or?
Like Chris.
I think so. I don't think it's, oh
Yes.
God, you guys are asking me.
Yes.
Functioning outhouse.
Complete reclamation.
There could have been.
I bet it is.
Could be in the back.
Just like
of the
what we do when
trees.
we demo something, basically it needs to be brought back to whatever the sewer dug up, picture of it being capped, so we don't have a live sewer service in the ground.
Yeah.
Everything we're trying.
And there'll have to be some dressing up of the property itself with the dead trees and stuff in there, so.
Okay. That's
I'll
fair.
get all that in the minutes.
All right.
Every bit.
It's gonna be that long.
Yeah, right.
And there's a spot in the back where there's a low spot and they'll wanna fill that in so they don't have a little pond puddle.
That's where the push the house.
Yeah, nothing there. It should be in there so they know what they're getting. Okay. So we're done talking about that then, right? Any other discussion on that property? Okay. Any, review purchase requests or work orders?
No.
New city business, 237 West Flint Hills Drive dock transfer. Staken or stacking? Stacking. Well, I'm gonna have to put my glasses on for that, huh?
Huguenin.
Buchanan. What nationality is it? Oh, never mind, never mind. That's, I'm gonna find out. Okay,
Does that
You can
matter?
bring it up.
Do we need to base this off of what nationality they are?
Okay, we're.
no, I'm sorry.
Just one clarification.
Conversation's been ended.
Go on with the
Well,
I move to approve.
all right.
Are we already
The
gonna see the
wonderful
land
name.
survey, I guess?
And we've got the survey for that, the
So
land survey
I think
that's
that was
required to transfer it.
no
And that's, I didn't
No.
know. I brought those.
part of the question. So
Yeah, that's part of the question he has.
So that needs to go in the property file with us, correct? Is that why you wanted that?
Well, but
Or is
you,
it property
they
file?
Well,
probably will
okay, so-
have one filed with the, they should have filed it with the county, so.
I get it, but then we have to pay for it.
We have to pay for what?
If we request a survey from the county, wouldn't we? Copies.
So the dock is your basic 20 by 24 with a boathouse on it. And so, our house is under contract and then, so when we put the house in the market, we knew we'd have to get the survey, so we've been working on, getting that and finally put the pieces together. The issue is in 1415, we built a deck on the back of our house, extending out. And when we bought the house, the legal description says the lot's 103 by 95 or 98. So we thought it was a square. And so that's where the new deck is. But now with the survey, the back is at an angle. We have a rock ledge along the entire back between our house and the lake. And the deck is built kind of on stilts towards the lake. And that's the part that extends onto city property.
So just a bit of
Not
your
all of
back
it.
deck is on the
Right.
lake side, okay.
And I
Not
forgot,
all of it,
I forgot the picture.
but, and I have my iPad if anybody wanted pictures or video to show what it looks like and.
So what the issue is, guys, and I've been out there, we've walked it how many times to figure it out. Her deck, we decided it was what, the back third of it, and the stairs down is actually on city property. Which at the time, when they built it, they didn't realize it because of the way they were told their measurements were.
Which is
Until
why
they-
we're requiring surveys.
Until they got this done, then that's when they found out.
We're talking about a deck or we're talking about a dock here? What are we talking
Deck.
about?
A deck
deck
off of the
On
house.
city property.
And it's
This
still.
one, this one here
Okay,
says drive,
they-
dock, trans.
Okay,
I mean,
we're bringing this up because
The
They
survey
got
was
To
this
do
is
a
for
dog
the-
transfer, you have to get a survey.
yeah,
right.
But this is a 1987 survey.
It's, and I talked to engineers and surveys trying to get a new one and have been told by 95% of them that it'd be 8 weeks before they could come out. Finally, I got one, it was a surveying company, Dennis, can't think of his last name, he's in North Topeka. And I explained what I had and showed this to him. He said he could possibly come out in 4 weeks, but he said, I'm not gonna give you anything more legal than this. And he actually said if the city requires any more than that, they're messing with you because I cannot give you anything more legal than this document. He went on
And
to
what's
say,
his name?
Dennis. Do you have a-
I thought you could use previous.
Where did you get this? That's,
So this is ours and then our neighbors.
well, no. This survey was in 87. Was this ever filed with the county?
I don't know.
It was stamped. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's not stamped.
Yeah,
It's
the
not-
people that built,
I mean, it looks like it was one of the ones that they would hold
I
on
mean, this is
file.
before all the houses were there in 87.
Yeah, because they call it Lake Road.
And so,
instead of Westford.
as far as our measuring it, Bill Reininger used to live 2 houses to the north. We could not find pins for a long, long time. Bill Reininger has a pin in the front where he used to live.
and he put it in concrete, so you can't miss it. Our issue when we were measuring off and trying to find the pins is we were going from the road. There's 17 feet in the front of our house and Bill's house that before the property starts. So once we found Bill's survey, we could measure the 50 feet over. Our pin is actually in our neighbor's driveway, but then you take that back to the 103 feet. That's when we found the pin. You angle that over, that's where the deck is. So,
We walked it, so it, and it is, that is where the pins match up. Is that,
and as far as this date being 87, Dennis, and I'm happy to give you his name, I didn't bring it. He
yeah,
said he has documents from 1880 that are scratches and talks about the stone. He said that's as legal as you can get as well. So even though he said they didn't have computers then, that's why it's written out. But he said he can't give me anything more legal than what this is.
The only thing it's really getting me is, I mean, it's 87. I mean, people had stamps back then. We had stamps the whole time, but it's just kind of weird that they didn't have a license survey or actually stamp the document, at which point I'd look at it and say, okay, well, it's good enough then. And,
But bottom line, I'm telling you that the deck is partially on your property.
yeah.
And so I'd like to resolve what needs to happen while we're back. And Dave's a realtor and he's spoken with the buyers as far as there's a chance that it's on city property, you might be paying a fee every year. So bottom line, we just want to be upfront with them as far as what's going to happen and what we need to do. The deck is still a long distance from the shoreline. It in no way affects the shoreline. It's just because of this rock ledge, our property is further from the lake than a lot of them.
Well, the ordinance as it was passed says that the survey, a licensed surveyor, and shall be filed of record with the Once County Register of Deeds.
And this has not been filed yet.
Well, I mean, because I don't see any indication it's been filed. And I mean, I suppose that somebody could provide Mr. Rappaport's credentials at the time. I mean, I wouldn't have any objection if somebody came and said he was licensed in 1987. And like I said, this has been, the Register of Deeds may have this.
we didn't look that one up. We just looked up the whole city, or the whole lake.
Just a different copy that does have the stamp on it, or it does have even the county stamp, but
I mean, I can run up there and ask him.
Ask who?
No,
I mean,
you
I can
call.
Ryan.
Just call.
It's not hard to do that.
But I think the
Ryan
question
Michaelis.
is, even if you assume that this is right, are they going to be charged for this?
Yes.
well, if the deck's on city property, then yeah, we usually charge whatever it is,
And it's not completely, but I realize
$100 a year.
the foot is. So that's why I just wanted to get an answer.
They just need to know if it needs to be in the contract of sale.
Yeah, I would think so.
I mean,
Acknowledge
it's
that's
more
the
the
case.
steps that's on the city. And it, for them to get down to the lake safely, the
Yeah.
steps need to be.
I really don't know that the survey itself is an issue because, I mean, the whole point of the survey is to find out, is this any part of this on city property or is it not? Well, you just answered the question, so.
Do people pay rent to have stairs down to the lake? They pay,
They paid out stuff on our property.
no, I understand
Yeah.
docks and
Structures.
buildings, but
See, I didn't know if the
stairs.
stairs would be classified as.
walkway, and we have a lot of walkways down all the way
That's
to
what,
the water.
basically what
Yeah.
she
So I
needs
didn't
to
know if any of
whether
those also pay.
Be paying that fee.
So do we need to have further research done on this so that we can put it on the lake meeting in the next time? Is there stuff that you're doing right now?
You could, I mean, if they could locate this as being a filed document and some evidence of his licensure, which again, I'm sure that this guy probably was at the time. I think you could prove a conditional on that if you want to just get it off the.
Merry-go-round of
Sure, they
us.
have record of who was,
Yeah.
even if he person isn't alive anymore.
Yeah, pretty sure.
So
But I
your
guess
question
I
for us,
understand
and yeah,
that It doesn't change.
Yeah.
And I'd like an answer to tell the buyers, because I wanna be fair with them, this doesn't change any of that. And I can take it to the register, if they don't have it, they can have it now, and now they have a legal document. I mean, a surveyor told me this is as legal as you can get, I'm gonna take their word for it, and I don't see any reason not to.
so basically what you're asking,
Well, yeah, I think you can approve this conditional upon meeting those two requirements. And you're saying essentially with that approval that you guys understand that is it a deck?
yes,
The deck is on city property and likely will incur
fees.
a structure fee of some kind. And that will be disclosed.
I'll move that.
And how much and when would anyone know what that structure?
The structure fee is $120.
$120 a year.
Yeah, $120 a year is a structure fee.
I cannot vote for anything based on a contingency again. Boy, have we been burned on that.
But there's nothing to defer on what we're
Yeah,
saying.
I
'cause
I
you
know
know
that,
the
but I'm
deck
sorry,
is
Kathy, it's
We
nothing
could,
personal.
we could still make a
but
motion
it's-
and see how
We
it
can
goes.
transfer the dock, right? Is that an issue?
Just let
Or-
me
Well, they're not-
Fred
that's
made
what
a
they're talking
motion.
about.
I made a motion
I'll
because
second.
Todd
There's the deck
suggested
and
that
the
we could
dock.
do so.
All right, we have a motion
I'll
and
say.
a second. All in
Or
favor
you can
on the
discuss.
contingency. Do you
Sorry,
know? You want to
Refresh,
repeat it?
what's the motion?
The motion is that you approve the transfer contingent upon
Getting that correct.
getting the document filed with the county and also the licensure of Mr. Rappaport, the
Are
surveyor.
we concerned about that? I
And, well,
I only
Let me
am
complete.
if Todd is.
and the understanding that it will be disclosed that the deck is on the property, on city property, and will incur the fee. Okay, so that's the motion.
Feasible.
The reason I'm saying that is because you guys passed an ordinance that said every time that you want to transfer something, you got to come here with a survey. It's got to be filed with the county and it's got to be by a surveyor. Part of the reason why we did this was so that when this is done and filed of record, then you have that, and the next person who buys this 10 years from now wants to sell it, it's done. And you don't have to do it again. And slowly we will build a wonderful database of surveyed properties. And we won't have something, if it's not filed of record, then we won't have somebody bring in 1987 documents that
Seems
are
like
not
such a
attested.
thing should exist already, but.
Yeah. And it may be that, it may be a 5-minute thing and they may have,
Register of Deeds or something.
yeah.
So if the county courthouse already has that, what do you need from us to show that?
Well, they would have one with the file stamp on it,
Okay.
that when it was filed.
He could
So
fax
you
that to
want
you,
a
couldn't it?
document filed with the county, the file stamp with our lot and showing
Yes.
this.
Yep.
Okay.
Or any survey.
Or any survey.
Yeah. This could have been a copy of a larger survey. I don't know.
And then we provide that to Stephanie.
Yeah.
Okay.
If this passes.
But that's all that you're needing.
Well, we also need confirmation that if you rely upon this, that the surveyor is licensed. Homer B. Rappaport. Whatever I'm reading that.
Repart.
Part?
Repart.
Rip apart. I'm assuming that the Kansas land, the authority over engineering trades has a database where they would be able to tell you when that person was licensed.
So do you want a letter from them?
You don't need a letter. They probably have some kind of database that will confirm it.
We need a copy of that from them, right?
Well,
Showing,
then, when they talk to like a
Stamp.
freaking survey on every single property.
I would take anything.
Right. Did something.
I think I remember
Reference to
searching
where the
for
structure is, right?
engineers and surveyors online.
And it's
So
on
if you
the
find them,
property.
that's fine too. I don't need, we don't need a certificate of some kind for him. We just need to confirm that somebody, he was licensed at the time.
We need to vote then, right?
If the discussion is complete.
Did you get a good answer there?
I believe so.
Okay. Actually, Todd, you did a good job. Thank you.
Didn't Justin say?
We have a motion.
Yeah.
There's a second. All in favor? All opposed? No abstentions. 3 yes.
I just want to talk more about 1987. Good times.
Motion passed. 1987, I moved to Eskridge. That's all you need to know. I know I'm really old. I'm sorry.
4 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
So what's next?
Well, your executive session, I guess.
No, it's the ARPA.
ARPA.
Okay,
Oh, I have this.
the executive review of that memo.
Argue about this.
Argue, there's no argument.
Oh,
This is the law.
all legal things are is opinions.
Yeah, when I drill down on this, I just basically say the first two on that memo are not really worth discussing because they're so limited. Basically, the first one is, if you guys want to set up a whole regime where you give away this money
Nope.
to city council, to citizens and stuff for needs, you can do that and enjoy the administrative nightmare that it creates. So one usually is that. Two is just overtime pay for specially designated safety employees. You probably already got that covered at the previous ones.
Oh.
Third one is lost revenue. Well, I hope we don't have a wage and hour violation in the office because we didn't pay somebody.
Oh, no, they got paid, but it just wasn't paid for by the initial funds. It wasn't paid for by the CARES Act.
That's right.
And even though that
Well,
small utilities don't have 40 other people doing the same job and can call in sick for, 4 weeks at a time, and somebody else picks it up, we have to do our job even if we're sick.
Well-
But we're not going after that.
Okay, you're not going after that out.
For the record.
I mean, it usually was pretty limited in any case, so if that's
I see
that's
that.
available to you, go for it. Next one is loss of revenue. And what this does is basically says, we'll take, I believe, your 2019, the entirety of the city revenue, taxes, fines, receipts from utilities and all, puts a number and establishes that as your baseline number. Then it assumes what it calls the counterfactual percentage increase of 4.1% per year growth. No flash photography, please.
Yeah, no. This thing's about to die.
Not why the
so-
performance is ongoing.
All right.
The 4.1% then is assumed growth for that basis. So 2020, 2021 to 2023, I think you basically add 4.1% onto your revenue. If you were short of that mark, meaning if your revenue went down or stayed the same, the amount of money that's represented by that shortfall is generally expended. Meaning it just goes into your general fund and you can use it however you want, no restrictions, party time. So,
But you won't know until then.
well, you would know,
Retroactive, you would some, but out till 2023, you don't.
yeah, you know, right? You could probably figure out, since I think it's measured in maybe, no, it's actually a year end. So you would know for 2020, because you can do it for 2020, that one at least, but you'd have to wait until December 2021 of this year to get your next notch and figure out how much you could take from it and put in the general fund. I mean, my guess is that not a lot of people have seen real revenue decreases. So that may, if you stay level, it's still some money, but whether
And
it's
we're
enough-
talking gross revenue.
yeah.
Well,
So that's a
That's gonna be
possibility.
skewed anyway with
Yeah.
utility rates, gas, steel, everything. So
The last one's probably the most fruitful one because it's the easiest one to kind of track, and it's the broadest one. It's water and wastewater. They're deferring in this instance for determinations. They say if it would be available to be funded by the Kansas Revolving Loan Fund for either of those situations, then it's available for you guys to use for the same improvements. So probably just about everything you've been mulling over in wastewater and water as far as capital improvements, line improvements, plan improvements, whatever. It's probably going to meet the state plan, and therefore it's going to be good to go. So, I mean, I'm bullish on the fact that there's probably nothing, capital-wise that you couldn't take and use this money for. I'm going to probably question maybe equipment use if you can't tie it to a specific, I don't want to, no new trucks, sorry, that kind of thing. But that should give you, since you've been planning in this area, that should give you a pretty free rein.
then it even goes into more detail in your second paragraph for that.
Yeah.
You're gonna go that route.
Yeah, and I just, there's probably a point at which you probably don't need to go dig up this KDHE plan.
Right. But, I mean, key words on water directed towards reliability of supply, supplemental resources of water,
Yeah.
reduction of water loss, promotion of water conservation, rehabilitation of treatment plant, increased storage capacity, grouping and consolidation.
Yeah.
So rehabilitation, promotion of water conservation, reduction of water loss, those are the things that I'm looking at here. Because the city's been awarded that money. We have to abide by these rules. Who's going to police these rules? We yet do not know. I mean, if it's water, it's water, but this is, they do that ruling on that state statute. So there we have some guidance.
Yeah, and it's a little looser than that because there's no state statute that says anything more
Whatever
specific
these are.
than that.
It is.
Meaning that you can't really, there's nothing that really says, the supply line is good, but
Right. These
the
are
valves are not.
broad. Yeah, no, which they would be. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's, redundant or redundancy, but yeah.
So I think,
Rehabilitation, stuff like
so
that.
I think if you hit those general themes, you can fit it in there.
That's on our money. Now, there's more county money available that we can apply for. Now, the county has a steering committee to decide whether they think that things that we may think that our money is good for, absolutely, they may not think so, may not want to award us that money. We have to plead our case to them and explain to them why we think it meets this criteria, which there's already been some discussion. I've had some discussions with them.
It's the same interim rule for everybody, but they still have
Matter of
this full
interpretation.
discretion. I mean, just to say, we don't, and even if they say, we don't think it fits, we're not gonna give you the money, that's, that doesn't mean that we're wrong, that it's a, covered item. It just may mean they don't
Yeah,
want
just
to give us
because
money.
they don't want to give us money for the same purpose doesn't mean that we're not allowed to spend it on that purpose.
Or all the cities in the county ask for 3 million worth of projects and they have 1 million to give out. I mean,
Right.
Yeah, and that may,
There's gonna be a cut line, there's gonna be prioritization and so on and so forth. But
yeah, and they can do that however they want to do it with that money. But part of it is you guys are gonna have, I don't know how much.
$76,611.84
Total or just the first?
Total.
Okay,
for our allotment, our direct allotment.
so that's in your pocket.
that was like a revenue formula based on so much per citizen. I think it was like around $150, and the county also has a separate fund and it was based on like 200-ish per citizen.
192, I think,
Okay.
per person.
About $50 more, but I mean, I don't know. The way I look at it is, of course, we're in Waubonsee County. We have a portion of our citizens that live in Waubonsee County, so I kind of like to at least get our share of that, our portion of that, whatever,
And
500-ish residents out of the 7,000 in the county, whatever that is.
yeah, it's not in this one, but the rules are also for counties like that they can transfer it. So if you guys want to get some more leverage, maybe you talk to your buyers, LWAD and the districts, water districts, because they can all.
And we have, and now we've talked about that, whether it's okay, they apply with us. So, okay, we have a percentage, they have a percentage, this other one has a percentage. Okay, well, maybe these two look good. Well, this one they didn't like, or their finances look different. So what we talked about was it's all going through us. Our narrative explains this is benefiting not just the 505 people in the city of Eskridge, but everybody at Lake Waubonsee, everybody on Waubonsee 1, because we're their only source of water, and a good majority, including Mission Valley High School, on Osage 8.
Yeah, you're unifying.
Yes.
You're unifying the request to
Yes.
make sure it's all.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And we're
that's
talking
perfect.
plan upgrades there, which is absolutely there. Now, for our portion and then some, if I can just roll into that, update you guys kind of what I'm looking at. Ultrasonic meters, AMI fixed base metering system, push a button, read the meters, reporting alarms, stuff like that. I did get a cost back from Zinner on that. It's about $8,000, $97,930. We're getting $76,611 in ARP funding, which leaves a request from the county for $21,300 approximately on that deal. It's a pretty small drop in the bucket for the $1.4 million that they got. A lot of that county money has been allocated. They can spend it on their own stuff too first and then offer it out. I mean, they can do what they want. Things I've been hearing: Category 1, respond and recover; Category 2, premium pay; Category 3, provide services; and Category 4, infrastructure. Infrastructure is the big one. That's kind of the cut and dry, black and white part of it. The providing services, we did get some money here in town. It was in the paper last week. You know, been brought up time and time about medical coverage in the county. They're still working out contract details with AMR to see if they're going to be the provider. They tried to put it out for bids. Pot County was really high. I believe Osage County, which is operated by Tech, withdrew their bid before it actually went to the county. As of last week, I don't believe that AMR's was signed, but we did get $95,000 fire district to rehab a building, add a bay, and provide living quarters at the EMS building. At least one BLS staffed ambulance. So we're working out the details on that. It's good. Finally, coming down the pipe after years and years that we went to them. Lake Waubonsee's been a big part of that. You know, Harveyville's had a volunteer staffed ambulance for a long time, which is absolutely great. It could have went there. Harveyville's 15 minutes from Eskridge. Eskridge is 15 minutes from Harveyville, from Lake Waubonsee. That was our big thing right there. You know, there's a lot of population there, and that's not anything against anybody in Alma, Harveyville, Maple Hill, Paxco, anybody. It's a tough county to cover, but providing services was some part of that money that got approved by the ARPA for a special purpose for that money. Round about that, updating on that, sorry. AMI meter system detects leaks, whether it be a 24-hour constant flow, could be a toilet leaking. We could set it up to give us an alarm, and over average reading, once they get an average base, provide that to the customer. They're more accurate to control our water loss. Burst alarms, of course, if all of a sudden this meter goes on full flow, you know, max flow for an hour, it's going to give us an alarm. We can alert a customer if it does that. They have empty pipe alarms or reverse flow alarms. Reverse flow, we could have a main break, something like that, and all of a sudden at 15 meters, boom, send us an alarm, depending on how we set that up to alert us. We could know of a main break, stuff like that.
That's the radio read.
Yep. And literally, when it comes to meter reading time, you push a button at City Hall, sucks them in.
I got 2 other cities using this money for radio reads.
Yeah.
And the county is iffy on that. We have to plead our case. We have to say, I mean, yes, this is a good deal for the city. Absolutely. Our water loss, which in turn will keep the end customer rate down. The less water we lose, the more water we have to make, the more water we can account for, the more money we make. And our cost of production, like our cost and the water district's cost, is based off of the previous year's cost to produce that water. It's basically a wash. And then any capital improvements that we do that we pay for and float goes on their rate. We don't ask them to pony up their fund. we make a percentage off that money. That's the only way we make money off of that, is by basically cash flow and capital improvements, which is great because the districts don't get hit. LWID doesn't get with a big bill. It just gets evened out, put on the water rate throughout the year. Everybody keeps it even.
But everybody's paying for the water loss.
Yes, everybody's paying for the water loss.
And you've got, AMI usually has like an on-off, like a solenoid valve on it. Is that, for non-pay shutoffs, for, someone wanting to do work on their line doesn't
Not
have
on
a,
water.
okay, you
There will
can't do
not be
that.
a remote capability
Okay.
on water. No,
Okay.
because water, electricity, somebody doesn't have to be at home when you turn the power back on.
Okay.
Gas and water, gas by state law, water by ordinance, someone has to be there,
Okay.
basically, or you have
This
to perform
system
a
is so
shut-in
much
test.
better than the waiting for the water to come to the surface, and by then I had 3 breaks
And
like that, thousands
Yeah,
and
it's
thousands
not
of
foolproof,
wastewater.
but if somebody is, all of a sudden you have a constant, 0.75 gallon a minute flow for 48 hours, and if that's our trigger point, throws an alarm, it's like, hey, something's going on, rather than getting a 30,000 gallon bill for a toilet or something, or a 15,000 gallon bill for a toilet. I don't know how all that works, but the possibilities are endless, depending on what we can handle, what we can provide, because we still have to be able to administrate those services. Now, obviously, they'll do way more than we can administrate, but if we can find a happy medium with what we got to notify people, I think it's a good case to put in for that. And I would hope you guys would support us going for something like that. The number 2 thing I have, which this totally qualifies, plant upgrade. Backwash pump. Our backwash pump's really old. I've talked about it for quite a while. We've got to engineer a new plant someday. We're not redundant. Any new plant that's built today we're redundant on our raw water pumps. We're redundant on our high service pumps, which send the clean water to town. We have one backwash pump. Most plants have redundant backwash pumps too, because if you can't clean your filters, you can't clean water. It works. It's really old. I've had bids to replace that. It hasn't been ideal with our budgets and how the water goes and stuff like that. And every year and other improvements to the plant and maintenance issues that we've had to deal with to go after that. Cost of that's about $20,700 for that backwash pump. That is completely eligible. And I would like to ask the county for that. Then the third thing is our turbidimeters, which is a process equipment that monitors the clarity of water, which is state. We have to be in a certain turbidity requirement as far as how clear the water is, which to them clear means clean, and it's super freaking clear are their requirements. And then they keep pinning those down to where eventually, plants, sand filters can get to a certain point, and then you've got membrane filters, reverse osmosis that can basically almost make distilled water, which should be absolutely clear. Ours work. They're serviceable for now. They're obsolete until parts aren't available anymore through Hawk. I've got a bid to replace those, an updated bid as of 2 days ago, which is about $10,400, and that's for implementation, install, everything. So, once again, plant upgrading equipment, and I will end here. I know you guys are getting glassed over. We've got 77,000 between all 3 of these projects. You've got 21, 20, and another 10. So 51,000 bucks out of
That we're asking them.
1.4 million that they were awarded. And granted, some of that's been allocated to other things. They've got projects too. I don't think that's out of line for our share. And if we can come up with anything else, absolutely to ask for it. I don't know about the pushback, but I think I have a really good case. I'm still learning about these meters. I don't have a narrative written on how to propose that, but I think there's other stuff to put in there and convince them that that's good for us. It's absolutely good for us. It's absolutely good for the customer in the long run on everything. Whether it be, okay, somebody had a really slow meter. Well, now it shows they use, 400 more gallons a month than it did. But when our water loss goes down and we account for more water and we bill for that water, then everybody's cost of production goes down too. So it's a full circle thing. But I don't know that we need a motion on that, but if blessings or absolutely not, I don't like that idea, just to move forward and get these through. We do have another meeting before these are required. They're required by the end of this month that's gotten a little close. I would like to at least get drafts of these over to the county to see if we get any pushback. And if I get pushback, bring that to you on the 27th. If I don't get any pushback, I would like to just leave these in as submitted for this.
The other two things I saw in there, one of them was broadband that stuck out. I didn't see anything in your interpretation as far as that being eligible, but just, for the county portion of the funds, I think we have our city, what we want to do pretty well lined out, but for the county portions of the funds, can they hold any of that back for that million? If we don't necessarily have a plan or what we want to do today about, how we can possibly improve the service in this town, get fiber to home kind of deal, fast internet, ask if they'd be willing to hold a little back as, for potential cost share in the future. If a telecommunications company would be willing to come down here and we could, sweeten the pot with that money, I don't know, but I think it would be worth asking for, but it's a lower priority there, as far as, what I kind of spit out before is, 500 residents, 7,000 of the county. And, of a proportion of that, I know that's not necessarily what they're doing, but, 50,000 is still quite a bit less than that. It's probably about half, I guess, but yeah, I don't know. 1.4 million. So,
I mean, I don't think there isn't any, I didn't really look that hard at it, and I can't, if you want to know the details of how that's expended, but
we're just asking them. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
It's not necessarily, us trying to put together a project and deciding. It's just, us saying, hey, we'd like you to help, take care of this in the future. And we don't necessarily know the particulars of how that's going to work. If, of course, I think I remember them saying in the info session for this, that you cannot leverage that. You can't use it for leverage for another grant. I know there's broadband grants that slush around from time to time, but maybe we could get it done that way. I know they hired a person in the county that with some kind of a grant, and her job is to improve broadband in the area. And they've got her for 2 years, and that was in the paper. But
no problem in advocating for that. I was looking at this as your money being spent.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily wanting that to be out of that pocket of money for the city, but asking if the county will consider that. The other thing I look at is premium pay. Inflation is very bad right now. It's like 7% annualized. It's running quite a bit higher than normal because the United States printed a lot of money. So that's something that, I think would be worthwhile to just, whether it's, not necessarily bonus, but, basically it's premium pay. So, say it's $1, they just top everybody up by $1. So we could say, declare that all of our full-time employees, could be eligible for that extra $1 an hour. That would be asking the county for that pool of money. Worst they can say is no. Best they can say is yes. I wouldn't mind putting it in for it. That's.
Well, Justin, it would be beneficial for the community because there are quite a few people that come out here and would like to work from home.
Yep.
They don't want to live in Topeka or Emporia, anywhere. They want to live actually out here.
Yep.
And if we can provide a good service for them, that would be great. And
it's the one thing that might stop somebody is, okay, well, you only have 10 meg DSL.
I've seen that in their faces because they ask me, how is your, Lord?
Yeah.
I get real good work out there at the store, but I pay for it.
Yep.
And it's comes out of my bottom line.
Yep, sure.
So there's a human side of all this too.
Yeah.
And I know with the last 2 years, the people that are working out here, we're grateful to be able to work out here, but they would have liked to have had better service.
Yeah, be a good conversation to have. That may be part of their idea too.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
sometimes you put
their
the
money
human
and their
side
steering
in.
committee decides. So
yeah.
Put a human side on it.
Yeah. That would be the only other things I could think of that I would be wanting to petition them for is those two things. So see what they're thinking.
I do hear a
on
lot
that,
of
so.
conversation about it. That's for sure.
Yep.
About wanting to improve that communication.
Yep. So.
Okay. So do we want to make a motion for Mike on this?
you need a motion or just you approved him addressing the
Strong
Yeah, I
county?
mean, move forward with
What would
this.
be
and-
most beneficial for you?
It doesn't matter, whatever it takes for you guys. I mean, if you don't like it or you want me to change something, just tell me. Or if you have something else you would rather us ask the money for.
Shower house.
I think we can pull
Yeah.
it off.
I was looking at that too. It's like, how can we shoehorn that in here? And I mean, that's kind of been where
Revenue
I've
loss.
It's like,
There hadn't been one.
Okay, well, that's
That's
true.
the problem.
Yeah.
I know, I've
It's
looked at that a
growing,
lot
it's
too.
growing. It's more
We
than
got a
4.1%.
$10 million
Yeah.
bill, but.
We're out here where people can do what they want. It just doesn't affect
Yeah.
that. Really.
it's like, yeah, the shower's got water, but you know, it's like, how do you make that fit in the framework? The only thing I can think of maybe is like running water to the campsites out there that are on the ridge, or, but
Sure,
I
I
mean,
know,
even
there's
that,
that
you know,
too.
where you're saying if it's not a use of the revolving fund, it's maybe not necessarily appropriate for
You know, I
what
never
this is,
understood
and
them
that's-
saying no to that, the state, because the county approved it, didn't they? And it went to state. I mean, hygiene is one of the most important things that you can have with what we're dealing with in our health situation. And they said no,
Yeah.
never understood it.
They have everybody takes a shower, sign a wholesale water contract.
Yeah, I thought it made a lot of sense there. I mean, you saw those hand washing stations that went up in random businesses
Yeah.
and everything, and yeah.
Except after review all of them.
Bet you do.
Yeah.
I have a big lake I'm gonna dump you in.
Okay, that sounds good.
So
Yeah, I
we've
think
got
the
about
question,
20,000 to maybe add to your, is that right?
You want to add
No,
20,000?
no. You said your projects are about 51,000, so we have like about 20,000. Are you?
50.
I'm asking for another
Yeah.
51,000
Oh, it's
from the county.
Above and beyond
Oh,
our
I
budget.
Yeah, we
completely
haven't-
misinterpreted
yeah, we haven't
that.
touched
Okay.
the other money.
We're not
That's
giving up
fine.
that money. We're
Just
just-
kidding.
Yeah. So we're gonna get most of the AMI
Well, geez.
paid for is kind of the,
Yeah, I mean, worst case scenario on that, I mean, if the county said no and we had to stop at that, I mean, you know, $21,000 for a complete fixed based AMI system, which is
Probably.
ridiculously cheap. I mean,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Probably
we'll figure
pay
a
out
way to
revenue
pay for that,
funds and-
but, Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think those are all great solutions, honestly. I know several people who've had water issues in the past couple of years who paid a large fee for it.
And it's not a guarantee,
Yeah.
like I said. I mean,
No,
this
I
is
know.
stuff that they offer. We have to figure out how to administrate that. And I mean, there's going to be a learning curve with the system and stuff like that. But it's just, I mean, we've got stuff out there. I mean, there's going to be like part of this too. I mean, 15,000 off of that project. They have a company that'll come in for $50 a meter set and put in these new meters, which is about $15,000. But we're going to do that ourselves because there's angle valves and meters out there that have been in for a long time. You know, asset management hasn't been the city's strong suit forever. And if somebody's lived there for 35 years and always paid their water bill, they probably have the same meter as long as it's not locked up and that valve's never been shut off. We're going to encounter problems. We're going to break valves. We're going to have shutdown sections. We're going to have to place this stuff. We're going to have other things that we deal with in doing this. So yeah, $50 per meter sounds great to me. I don't like standing on my head in a pit, but when they break an angle valve, break a setter, then they're calling us and then we're behind the gun. Okay, now they're over here. Well, we got to find this valve. At least if we're doing the sections, we know what section we're working in. We already know how to isolate it. So, I mean, that's kind of a plus too. And you put that in there. It's in my narrative, you know. There's 15,000 that isn't included on this because we're not contracting the replacement. We're doing it in phases. So,
Hopefully they find you quite thrifty.
well,
Well, part of the loss of revenue is not just water that's, you know, going past the meter, you know, gushing out somewhere because nobody knew that a main broke or something, but it's also, I mean, how old are those meters? I mean, we're probably talking,
some of them are
yeah,
24
so,
years old. Possibly.
Okay,
I mean, they're
so-
running slow. I mean, we change them when they lock up.
yeah, that's
True,
what I was
we
gonna
do.
ask is when
But
they drift, they tend to drift towards maybe under-reporting
yeah,
usage.
Mine's
rarely, if ever, does a
Yes.
meter speed up.
Three
Yeah,
There's been a case or two that they'll double up and double roll two numbers, but
okay,
hundreds of dollars.
very rare.
yeah.
You don't get that out there. All right.
Cool, thank you.
I would take that as being an approval.
I think we passed it.
I think so.
See what we can do.
But before we go, I was just gonna say, I looked up that Homer Reppert. He was a professional surveyor. His license number was 235, and his license expired in March of 1995. So, I mean, probably a good bet that he was licensed at the time. Otherwise, why would he make such a document?
Well, I take
Just
that.
wanna let
I
you
take
guys
that
know.
as proof.
License
Yeah,
number
it's right there on their
235.
website. So that's
Yeah.
That was my flash photography earlier. But
Thank you,
Which
Justin.
you're good.
So we-
He's kind of handy to have
And
around.
the other document is from the county then with the stamp.
File stamp.
That's it. All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
I appreciate that, Justin.
yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Mike.
Sorry.
No, 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 no. It doesn't hurt us to listen and
Yeah,
learn.
thanks a lot, Mike.
Yo.
You wanna go over your stuff?
Still not 9
I'm
o'clock.
sure I find out. You get your list, right?
Yeah.
I was deferring my executive sessions to the list.
Is that a
Tim's list.
catfish?
Is it the attorney client or what's the? Okay.
The worm.
Is it?
Sorry, I missed that.
I'm gonna run through the items that I had on here. One of them, the first and foremost, biggest thing that is coming up is the golf tournament. Hopefully, it's still coming. We need to get more teams in. I was hoping that maybe we can advertise for it, or at least put it in our minutes or something. It's
When is this? October.
October 2nd.
Here we go.
And we expected to have many more teams than what we do right now. So we need more teams. The things that I'm expecting out of the city on this, I've been mentioning to you that I think the city is going to have to throw in some sort of a donation somewhere. If we have the tournament, then what I want is, we talked about doing pulled pork sandwiches for all the applicants. I guess that's what they normally do, is they serve everybody lunch. So if I can't find anybody else to smoke the pork, then I guess I'll probably have to do it. But
I hear you're a pretty good smoker.
well, there's other people around here that are better.
Yeah, but some people are really, really good.
Anyway, we're going to do pulled pork sandwiches. We need buns. We need bags of chips from Frito-Lay. You'll just make up a little lunch. Iced water or a water bottle. Anyway, I'm not sure what all we're going to need or the quantities, but that's what's coming if we get enough applicants. We haven't been advertising very hard for it, so
Sorry, I'm not a
I'm gonna have
golfer.
to get busy.
What is this?
what it is, it's to stock the lake.
Okay,
The
that makes
The
sense.
people that run the golf course have
I was
graciously
like, what?
offered to let us have every single
You've been
dime.
gone.
Yeah, well,
So
we're kind of
what
behind the
meeting?
gun on the advertising
This
thing
month.
too, from what it
Yeah.
manifested. Whole sponsors, stuff like that. I mean, or is it just kind of more of a lake thing?
We're trying everything. We need sponsors for the holes. We need, they're giving us all the golf cart rental fees, the green fees, and they're giving us all of this to turn into fish.
Yeah, it's gonna go right back.
Yeah.
Well, they've been around a little bit. They visited the store and got a donation there. And I think, Lizzie, how do we want to advertise
You
it?
did.
Through just talking about it. Oh, you did advertise it in the paper?
No, who visited you?
Visited you and got donations for this tournament.
You would expect me to remember that, wouldn't you?
Oh, no, I'm just.
If I don't write it down, I don't remember. It goes right there.
Hey, Tim,
do
do you
not-
have a connection to Frito-Lay about getting chips?
Not yet.
I don't think they do that so much anymore,
They
so
do.
I wouldn't
Last
rely
I
on
knew,
it. Every
you had
time,
to put it in 30 days before.
every time we try, it is denied.
They
Doesn't-
can't even produce enough
Um,
chips for people to sell.
They don't.
let alone-
They don't really do that anymore.
Yeah, I figured we'd have to
I've heard
buy
they haven't
those
done it for a
little
long
bags. I wasn't looking to get a donated.
Yeah, they
Chips
used
from
to
them.
be able to get. They won't do like individual bag stuff anymore.
Which one?
I'm sure
Yeah,
we've talked to
yeah,
them
that
before.
really doesn't work either.
I'm telling you, it doesn't work like that. They have shut it down. They used to do it something like you could find somebody who worked there and they could get you boxes.
They
Not
can still just get you chips that they sent out that they don't want, and it's free to the employees to recall, because my
It's not usually like an individual
grandson has a
bag
bag of
scenario.
chips about like that, and neighbor Friday, because they have all the same kind.
Okay. Well, or I could just buy some.
They sell those.
Okay, well, the, yeah,
55
Well, unless they need employees.
that's the golf tournament. Horseshoe Pit, any news on that, Mike?
I do not have any news on that, actually.
Did you ever contact that gentleman?
That gentleman, no. I talked to our other gentleman about contracting him to build one, but I
Okay.
have to check on that.
Did we get the sand in the one at the park?
I don't know. I assume so, but I honestly have no clue.
Did everybody see the email about the complaints around the campsite area?
Well, yes, I was thinking that we would revisit that next meeting.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody had that in their mind.
Is that about the trash?
No.
The trash, the,
It was
well,
sent
not
today.
the
Yes.
trash at the rope swing. That wasn't on that complaint, but that is another one of the complaints to add to the list.
Erosion, they talked about that too. And Stephanie told
And I
them about
replied,
the
Gravel and
Yeah.
grading and, yeah.
And the trash sitting around our boat that's out there. And,
Yeah.
So, just to touch on that, have we gotten an answer back if we can get a dumpster out there for trash?
I asked Mary Dieters about that, and they were gonna work on a contract that still hasn't been sent to us. Would you like me to notify, I'll call them again.
I don't think they
I just
have
wanted to
one.
bring it up because if we're
There-
gonna talk about it at the next meeting,
Well-
we should decide if we.
that would be nice. Have
Do
that
they
information
have one?
ahead.
Are you talking about, they didn't wanna put a dumpster over there, they just wanted to put more of those totes?
Okay, the rope swing. Or,
Yeah, the rope swing. I think,
I
right?
think what he's talking about is behind the bathroom. Where they used to
Right,
dump
like
Like
a
a big
dumpster.
Before they
like,
was having
like the
free.
city,
Right,
right?
2 yard.
When I,
You're talking about a 2 yard.
And
one
do
that's
they
right
have
over here.
them,
2
Sally?
yard. Huh?
And do they have really any right
Last time
now?
we didn't have it.
I was like,
but
that's
I
been the
could be
problem.
wrong.
That's why there's so many
Because-
cans now, because they did not have any in 2020 to give us.
when I talked to Mary a couple months ago, she talked about another company where they were hoping to be able to get several of the big dumpsters from. So those are questions that I'll just have to ask.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll get
They're
back with you.
struggling right now because everyone has a lot of trash to throw away, I guess. I don't know.
Tell me
One of the other
this.
things that 2020 brought.
A lot of people staying home making trash.
Cleaning their houses out, man.
Remodeling.
Remodeling,
I
buying furniture.
Yeah.
They're
I'm
coming.
guilty.
Got it. Anything else?
A couple others. One other is Dolly and I were talking about the toilet install that was done around the 4th. Yeah, it was right after the 4th.
Yeah, it was the Friday before. They
Um,
blew up the toilets.
I
They say they did.
I have an issue with her saying that we need to give her money for paying somebody to put the toilets in. When she told me the first 3 or 4 times that she put the toilet in, she said she had a friend do it, and then about 2 weeks later,
Helped her with it.
she told me that she had to pay her friend $50 to do it. Well, I've since found another person who was camping out there at that time, and he said he offered to do it for free. And she said she can't let just anybody do it. She had to have somebody approved through the city to do it. Well, I don't think the city approved whoever installed it. I didn't.
Tim, once
Proof of
again,
installment.
this is stuff that we should be talking when Deb is here.
So the point is, I think we need to get more answers on whether or not
We
we're
should
gonna
be here at the
reimburse.
next meeting.
So,
Well, when she's here at the next meeting, let's not just all stare at her like the deer in the headlights and not say anything
Yeah.
to her, because that's what happens every time, and then she leaves, and then we inevitably start talking about something that she
Yeah,
should be here
she
for.
asked me about
but
that.
nobody
She said,
ever
what
says
was
anything
that?
to her
Nobody
face.
said anything to her.
Like, we just look at her,
Yeah.
and then she
Make
says,
a
and then she
list
leaves,
and-
and then we all have something to say when she's
Make
gone.
a list and talk to her. The way when I talked to the county attorney about reimbursement from the people that blew up the toilets, he said that you have to think of it as if you have your people putting the toilets in, that's time that they could have spent on something else. So he said that's why you should figure on them reimbursing for any labor or something. It's the same thing as when somebody knocks down an electrical pole, your insurance company pays for the pole and also the people that work on it.
Mhm.
And so there you go.
So I said the
Because I
same
took
thing I
that,
did.
Yeah.
but a little bit like, yeah, we get to get a reimbursement.
But not for Deb. That was my point. The reimbursement would be for the wages that Mike would have to have used had
It,
Mike
it
installed.
doesn't, yeah, whatever. She's not
Pay
looking
for
for,
the toilet.
what are you're worried about the $50?
I thought that she was asking reimbursement for that. Was I wrong?
Personal reimbursement is what
I
he's
don't
trying to
know,
say
yeah.
is he
Well,
doesn't
that's
feel
something
that
we can
should give
ask
her
him about.
personal reimbursement.
Well, that's why I wanted to bring this to the attention.
Mhm.
The game of chicken on the water. I don't know what.
Wow.
You guys know about this?
No.
There's jet skis out there that like to go out, turn around, and come right at each other, and then just barely miss each other. Apparently, they
I have that on video.
as do I.
Really?
Oh,
They-
awesome.
They did it on and on and on, and then they got
In a big loud.
they moved from this cove over to in front of the dam and continued their game.
That's kind of dangerous.
If I'm correct, I think the sheriff was told about it and he said he was off duty. Is that
Well,
Man.
the sheriff was
Wow.
golfing that afternoon. He came over to a friend whose boat and we had videotaped these antics and we had told him and the deputy about it. And they said they couldn't do anything about it right then because he was on duty and
What a load of crap.
Yeah.
I mean, to clarify, AWD and the sheriff himself, Rob Hoskins?
Rob
Okay.
and Ralph
Yeah.
were golfing.
Yeah.
But-
And then-
Sheriff is a broad term, just for clarification.
you have
I
the
have-
house they were in front of or where they docked?
Yeah, and then another friend took a picture of where the jet skis ended up going. And
So there's a little investigation work
Red
that
and
can be
white,
done
isn't
by
it?
the police.
it's,
Yellow.
Yellow and white, one
It's,
red and white.
well, it's the Hoffmans. Now I don't know who, I don't know the Hoffmans anymore. Ron and Karen used to live there. I think his son bought the house from him. I don't know if these are grandkids or who, but the 3 jet skis went back to that house.
They're teenage boys.
Yeah. And we were videotaping, they could not have cared less. I mean,
Well, they know
they knew
that.
they can get by with it.
Exactly.
A lot of people.
So my question to Tim was, when we see this, so what I did was I sent the video to the bait shop and said, what do we do about this right now? And, so nothing happened, they got by with it, we do have the video, but they'll still get by with it. Is there anything that we can do when we see this? I mean, it was obviously very dangerous and.
The best thing is if you can get close enough to get the KA numbers off the side, which is hard to do. I understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's reckless.
Really
You
does.
have to be there to see it. I mean,
You gotta go to the sheriff.
But if
I'm
it's
sorry,
on
the sheriff
video,
can't
do
do this.
it.
Well, call it in.
The
Remember
big
that when
house
you-
and us can't legally do anything. It has to go through the sheriff or the game warden. That's what I was told.
Okay.
Well, they have
And
to
then
be.
how does the sheriff get on the water to observe this or anything?
He doesn't need to observe.
Well,
We can't
he'll show
restrict
up
somebody's
when he gets
boat
there, and
permits
he'll just
because
go
of
knock on the
this.
door.
I mean, they have
Well,
to
your
pay
own,
us.
your boat permits, perhaps. I don't know how you have to have some form of due process hearing before you do that, probably.
An accusation and a hearing.
Well, but this is all, I mean, regardless of whether the sheriff or a deputy or anybody was there, if you have the evidence of something occurring that was a violation, and there's enough evidence of that for the city prosecutor, or the county attorney to act, then it's irrelevant whether the sheriff saw it. It's whether the county attorney will prosecute.
And the video has a stamp on it, time stamp and things like that. It's there.
But you can't, but the end result being is if something's going on in the water like that, your only call is to the sheriff for immediate assistance.
But what I mean, of course, it's super dangerous and such, but what laws are being broke? They were going the wrong distance when they're turning around and such. So
That's not a
really
law,
cruel.
unfortunately.
What's
Yeah.
that?
That's not a law, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know if
That's
there
a-
is one, frankly.
That's an unwritten rule that we try to get people to obey just because our lake's so small.
I'm assuming it's some kind of equivalent to
It is a
reckless
written rule, but
driving
it's not
or.
Were they in the
enforceable.
no wake zone?
Well, there's a buoy out at Stoppers Point that's way out of line, and it was kind of right around that, but the buoy's really not in the right spot, so.
That's still
So no,
a
it
way.
wasn't, and then they moved over to the dam.
It'd be like
It's not in
reckless
there,
endangerment. It's
Yeah, it goes
It's
against
misdemeanor, but
everything
it's-
when Wildlife and Parks does a boater safety course. It basically violates everything they teach. So they would be interested. Probably more than the
Yeah.
county is.
Just say we
they'd be more
probably
interested
get
than
them to
anyone else.
That's what I've written down here, wildlife
We
and
get the
parks.
sheriff.
It doesn't
They have actually been out in the lake like this year.
They have.
Have they
It
done
was-
anything?
It was enough that when I watched the video, I thought she sent the video because it's going to end a tragedy. When they were heading straight towards each other, I thought, oh no, this is going to be the time. Each time.
Well, and it sucks, but they'll really learn the hardship of it when they realize, hey,
Yeah.
we don't have a water rescue team that does this. So
Well, when they break arm or a leg or something, they're going to have a hard time swimming.
they're going down.
I bet they weren't wearing life jackets. Okay, moving on. I am in no way making any suggestions of any wrongdoing that has happened. I want to make that perfectly clear. But I have had people asking if we have any way to audit the campsites when they are purchased or rented, whatever the word is. If on Friday night, July 10th, whatever it is, if we have 8 spots rented, do we have something to show we have 8 spots rented? Therefore, we have that much funds coming in on that day for each day throughout the summer. That's what we were trying to come up with that spreadsheet. And, nobody used it. So I want somebody to come up with another idea of what we can do. I don't know what to do.
Are they
No.
using that program that Bill Wall?
No, they're
No,
using
they're
what,
using
what I did, the $25 fix or whatever, which yes, is not ideal. It does have some reporting capabilities, but now back to the spreadsheet. I thought it was going to do one thing because I thought it was going to do billing too. There was going to be some way to directly enter it in that, and it was going to spit out basically a template to use as the permit, which then was not the case. That was a compilation of what had been done prior. Now, as far as the rest of that goes, I don't know what was intended to be done there. Like, you've got my curiosity there. Like, what do you do with that spreadsheet?
I don't know
Okay.
anything about that stuff.
No, I don't either. I don't know.
Like
what
I
it
keep
is.
saying,
It
I've
was
spent the
literally
last
just-
30 years behind a computer.
No, I
So I don't-
understand, but
What
yeah.
what I'm saying is just moving forward from here, I want something that says each date on the calendar through our camp season.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you. What we need to stay on is in the off season this year, figure out what we want to do and not start talking about it like next March again
That's
Yeah.
very true.
and get it developed.
That's why I'm
Because yes, this deal, it's my invoices and estimates deluxe. It's a $20 program. I've used it for years. It's great. It has reporting. You can do great invoicing. You can do your packing, everything with it. It's cheap, but you can make your template look like whatever you want, which is the Waubonsee Lake permit deal. That deal that Bill Wall made,
There's lots of options
the
out there.
maintenance, the paying him to come out and train, paying him to come out and fix was ridiculous. It was very confusing to teach new people how to do it. This is very simple, very, very
Good.
cheap. And that's why I've been using it. I know it's not ideal, but yeah, there is some reporting. I haven't looked into that. I mean, yeah, you can do sales reporting, do date areas. It's not going to tell you what campsite unless you look at every individual permit that was issued, printed. But it probably would somewhat.
I was gonna say, I mean, closest I've come up with, and it is time consuming, is that spreadsheet. And I know that's probably not ideal either because you don't know exactly what dates. You just know these people paid this date and it was for camping, boating, fishing, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. yeah, I'm open to suggestions too, because I go through every single receipt and I enter it into this. So
So
that
you're
way you guys
still-
have some idea of what, because before it was just lumped in.
Right. Just a number.
Yeah.
So
What-
you're still doing some of the bait shop work for them.
I'm going.
No, she's verifying what they turn
Yeah, so she turns in, she brings receipts. She says, this is what I got. I go through the receipts. When she turns them in, I add them up. I'm like, okay, yes, we agree. This is what
It's a checks
this
and
is.
balance that's been done.
And
for
then
us.
I go through and I just do this for you guys so that I can enter it into my program too and say, this is how much was for fishing for these dates. And then you guys get these reports.
Well, in a sense, that's your audit. I mean, is Stephanie going back?
Well, to be
Double
clear,
check.
there's another benefit to what I'm hoping that we can come up with. Let's go back to my July 10th date. The person that was in site number 6 committed this to person in site number 4. We have a record of, well, who was there in July 10th? Oh, it was John Doe, and he
Here's
was
a
over.
list of witnesses.
That's it. There's a lot of benefits to us having all these accounts.
Yeah. So spreadsheet, I don't know how it works, but so Microsoft Access is a database program. It's, of course, it's Microsoft. Excel is Microsoft. They can talk to each other as far as you can make, this basically a form on Access. If you had the program, you can go in, make a template for a form, make it, look like a permit even, so you can print it off and hand it to somebody. But yet in the background, what it'll do is when you click that button, I want to save this form, what it can do is it can go and populate that spreadsheet for you. So it can go and every field in that spreadsheet will correspond to a column, and it will just create a new row, and that new row will have all the information you just put in that form. So if it has a date range, then you could go back and actually, query a date range, and you could see exactly what you're saying. Who was there? Okay, well, I'll just run a find function on that spreadsheet, and it will tell me. Either that, or you can just sit there and click on all the Microsoft Access forms, and it will show you every form that you created in, still in that, where it looks like a form or a certificate or whatever. But I know it'll do that. I'm just not smart enough to know how to do that. So
I'm
Well,
not either,
I
unfortunately.
wasn't
don't
expecting
know
this conversation
access.
to last long or answers tonight.
Yeah, once
I wanted to plant seed.
yeah. So
And the last thing, have we made any progress on the apartments sale?
Yeah, sure. You can go to executive session, I'll tell you.
That's it.
Okay, do you want to do that? It'll be about 5 minutes. Well, you can have it in a second.
You wanna make it 15 then?
Might as well.
Yours?
I'm going to go in executive session for attorney-client privileges for 15 minutes.
We done with Mike?
Yep.
that's what I heard.
Thanks, Tom. Gee, you didn't have to-
We'll do that.
What's that?
Nope, we don't have a second.
All right, we need a
Do we
second.
have a flyer?
Second.
All in favor?
Like, no,
1, 2,
we'll
3.
name things.
Is that
No, I- I-
unanimous?
Do we have a
Oh,
flyer
our
sign-up sheet?
Right.
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
We do.
Right.
I just noticed
All you
it.
gotta do is call Guy.
Really?
Yeah. I had not.
Oh,
I was gonna
no,
sign
the
up sheet
cameras
because
are
I
on.
can take door
Oh,
and pick
That's
it up,
very, very faint.
Yeah.
I will send you a copy of the.
and then I'll print it out.
Do we know who did it?
I will send it
Thanks,
to
sir.
you tonight.
No, not exactly. I mean, a few, probably.